welcome to Stitchy Talk. So Stitchy Talk is the first Tuesday of every month, and I come and just stitch with you, and I try to come up with something I think might be helpful to your stitching journey. So today we're going to talk about stitching in hand, and we're also going to talk about monogamous stitching, which I haven't done before. So we're going to look at the piece. This is Autumn Love by Lori Holt. It's a brand new pattern. So here's the pattern, designed by Lori Holt. So for Stitchtober, every year what I do is stitch from October 1st to like around November 15th. And last year I did a lot of different projects that were fall related. You could also do, you know, Halloween related or anything you want. It's just a way to keep you motivated. So what we did here is Sarah charts this. So when Sarah charts this for Lori, she knows how many squares are in the pattern. So we figured out there's 22,209 stitches in this piece. So I divided that out by 45 days, and I need to stitch about 500 stitches a day to be able to be finished with this by the time Stitchtober ends. So I'm about 2 days ahead. I'm going to show you what I've done in a little bit, and I'm about 12% there. But what I wanted to show you is a little bit about if you want to count your stitches and not do a lot of work, I'm going to help you out. So all of these small frames, I would get your pencil. These frames are 304 stitches. This frame is 853 stitches. If you want to do this whole thing, this bottom part, this center part, the whole thing is 5,691. This is actually 444 for the border. Sorry, I said that wrong. These. And the whole center is 5691. This one's kind of hard to count as you go. Each star is 97 stitches. And then now I'm going to show you inside how many stitches. So this is 541, 500, 412, 453, 541, 445, 461, 853, 644, 433, 461, 541, 1237, and 541. And so I have just this little cheat sheet right here that I have that kind of tells me how many stitches. And I've never done a project where I have tried to finish it, and this was the only way in my mind I could figure out how I could for sure be done stitching it by the end of Stitchtober. So this is the beautiful piece. Cheryl stitched it and Lori finished it, and all the finishing info is on the back of our pattern. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what I'm kind of doing. So what I'm doing here, if you look at what I've stitched so far, not including the A, I've stitched 2,585 stitches, and it's really easy to figure out because there's 61 stitches across. And so, you know, you just kind of count by the row. It's pretty easy because that's full coverage, so very easy to count. Now, you know, you don't have to count exactly. I just want a way to be able to know that I'm on track, to be able to do that. And we can do like a little cheat sheet with stitch counts and take the stitches out or something for you guys. We just kind of came up with that yesterday. Now this morning I stitched the A while I was waiting before filming, and then I went ahead and did outlining so you could see how I outline. So I figured the best thing to do would be to fill in the outline so I could talk a little bit about how I stitch in hand. And so first thing I do is I roll up my sides of my cloth just like this, and I put a wonder clip. We also have those brand new cloth bitties. I just haven't tried them yet. And so right here, I just kind of get all of this out of the way. And then let's see. Oh, I need to show what Lori's done. So this is Lori's progress. So I started in the center. She started in the top left. And she is going to talk about all of her progress and how she's keeping track of what she's doing on her FlossTube next Friday on her channel. Her channel is just called Lori Holt. She's stitching on 36 count cream and sugar by Fiber on a Whim. And that is how, if you look, those are her 7x7 bitty boards, design boards. And so she just keeps all of her floss on there. I think if I did that many colors, I would definitely get them all mixed up. And then she puts her needle on the left needle minder. That's the Autumn Love needle minder. And then on the right one, she puts her scissors. So that's where Lori's at. So when you look at this, you can see that, you know, you can start anywhere you want. I just started in the center. And so this is DMC, but I'm going to use the loop method. So I'm going to put my two ends of one strand together. The fabric I'm using is Barley 25 count by Lori Holt. And then I just thread my needle. And I'll start down here and stitch. So when I do an outline, sometimes I do the full stitch and sometimes I do a half stitch. So I'm going to go over the half, find the loop on the back, and put my thread in that loop. Okay, and then now what I'm gonna do, now when I'm at home, so there's two different ways that I stitch with lighting, which I think is very important. So in the car or at work, I use a Halo Go magnifier. At home, I have, I think it's called Omega 4.0. I have that attached to a table. It's harder, like if I have to use that and move rooms, it's kind of a pain, but it's really good. I'm thinking about getting one of those and putting it on my desk. So I have that here because it's easier to use. And so when I'm stitching, the main thing is I try to keep this left hand completely still and my fingers are right on those stitches I'm stitching on. So I am gonna hit my fingers with my needle. So right there, I'm actually touching my finger. And the reason it kind of stops the needle on my finger to where I can put it through the bottom. Now, I have a lot of calluses right here and right here. I think the lady that does my nails, she's always like confused. And so I'm just gonna stitch across. This is 25 count, so I'm using one strand and I'm going over 2 squares. And then as far as Lori's plans for her patterns, we just have a big, huge list. And we have a lot in the works. But this one has been really popular. I know we are sold out of the thread packs, but we should have more in a week. And then when those thread packs are done, we will be completely out of the floss keepers. So we do the floss keepers once, and when they're done, because they usually just sell at the beginning, and then, you know, after a while they're not going to sell anymore. So we're just doing a one-time run on those. And I'm just trying to keep my stitches pretty consistent. and just keeping my hand pretty steady. So let me know if y'all have any questions on stitching in hand or anything. I'd love to know what you guys think if you're doing monogamous stitching. I've really liked it. I'll tell you my pros and my cons. What I really like is that I have one bag that has to go home and come back to work every day. So instead of going through 10 bags and figuring out what needs to stay, what needs to go, I just have one project. The con is when I went to basketball this weekend, it's a really big piece to take to basketball. So I still stitched. I just didn't get as much done because, I had to take it out, put my little clips in, and I only stitch when my son's not playing. So sometimes he does really good and he plays, and then sometimes he doesn't. It depends how good he's playing, how much he plays. He's on a super, compared to the past, he's on this like crazy competitive team, and all the players are really good. And it's great because it's making him work hard. But when you have crazy competitive kids, you have crazy competitive parents, and they're all super nice. But man, they yell at the kids. Not anyone else's kids. They just yell at their own. But me and Kevin don't say a thing. I think if I said something, Christopher would literally just be like, "Mom." Like on the field, he would probably say that to me, or whatever. I got the stitch wrong. Okay, so y'all don't have any questions on stitching in hand. And monogamous stitching. So I've liked that it's kind of, it doesn't take as long to get ready to go out of the house at all. I can just grab my bag and go. The bad thing is with sports, this one's really hard to take. So for next week, I might have to just come up with something small that, like, maybe when the December Stitching with the Housewives month to month comes, I can just pack that to go, because then I can actually get something done. Because he does play so one son plays 2 basketball games and 1 football game a weekend minimum, and then I have one son that does 1 football game minimum a week, and then I have one son that does band, and then I have a daughter who does drill team. I don't take my stitching to drill team though. I mean, because those are like high school games and all my kids are there, and I have to make sure they're not doing anything bad. Okay, so here I'm going to get to the end of the row. And right now, just so you know, I am using the Lori Holt 4.0 glasses, magnifying glasses, instead of the Halo Go, just so you can see. Now, the one thing I have learned, and I think this is going to be really helpful for the future, I can get 500 stitches done in an hour and a half. If it's something like this that's more of a full coverage. If there is a lot of start and stop, I can get about 300 stitches in an hour and a half. So basically what that's taught me is each day in Stitchtober, I need to stitch an hour and a half minimum. Now yesterday, I was able to stitch a lot more because my son played football in Kerrville, and we didn't go. Okay. Oh, and then Holly Martin is doing monogamous stitching with flea market flowers also. That's so pretty. Do you think it's faster to outline? Yes, I think it is faster to outline. Now, sometimes I'll do a half stitch to outline, sometimes I don't. I just think not having to have the pattern out is very helpful. I am using the called for floss. This is 1 strand looped, which becomes 2 strands over 2 squares. The large bag is the Daisy Project Bag by Lori Holt. And it's really nice because it's big and it's really good for quilting. So it is 2 strands with the loop method. I always use the loop method. This would definitely work on 18 count ivory, but I think you could maybe do 1 strand. Some people use 1 strand and some people use 2 strands on 18. Deb says she's trying to improve the quality of her stitches as she gets back into cross stitching after 30 years. I'm pretty slow, but hope to improve. Yes, I mean, I think it just takes consistency, and it takes a lot of patience, which really helps with, I don't know, it just keeps your mind busy. So if y'all want to hear a funny story at basketball, I was talking to this little girl. Anyway, I'm going to take her across stitch. She wants to learn. I was talking to her, and I literally put my foot in my mouth because she kept talking the whole game. And anyway, she said something. I said, yeah, social media, it's ruining society. Her mom is a model from the Ukraine with 300,000 followers. I was like, oh yeah, that's probably not what I should have said in front of her. Because I was like, okay. Because, yeah, and I really do it a lot during basketball. Basketball is pretty aggressive at this age. I don't know what the deal is, but I asked Kevin if it was ever going to calm down. And he was like, maybe as they get older. But, I mean, I feel like it's watching football. Especially my kid. My kid will just get on the ground and start pulling stuff. I'm like, okay, you need to calm down. So yeah, I think the consistency is just keeping this hand steady. Does Lori set progress goals like Kimberly? No. Lori just stitches. I'm sure she does set goals in her mind. I guess she could talk about that this Friday or next Friday when she does her FlossTube. I'm not sure. I'm sure she sets goals. I don't think she's like me in terms of like my, analytical, she's not like me, like write down the number of numbers, try to do a percentage. That's just me. That's just my personality on everything I do. A demo of stitching left-handed would be nice. That would be great if I was left-handed. I don't think I could do it. I can't even write very good with my right hand. I have tried to write with my left hand, and that's definitely not good. Anybody who knows me, I have horrible handwriting, and I've always had horrible handwriting, and it's always bugged my mother. It drives her crazy. I thought you stitched during the day. I do. I stitch during the day. I stitch anytime. So I stitch during the day at work if I have time. Right now, a lot of fabric reps are coming, so I don't have as much time. And then at night, I stitch if my kids don't have anything. And it, changes week to week. Like Friday, I'm supposed to decorate a homecoming float. I don't know how I'm going to do that because I'm not very I don't know how to do it. I don't know what I'm doing. So I won't be stitching that night or that day because I'll be doing a homecoming float. So it kind of just depends. Dawn asks, when using 25 or higher count, do you always use one strand over two? 25. Okay, so what I would recommend is we have a cross stitch calculator on our site. It's really easy to find. It's at you can just go to our home page and do Control F and you'll find cross stitch calculator. And on there it tells you how many strands are recommended and if you stitch over one or two. So I would definitely refer you to that. Okay, so when I get to the end of a row, I usually go all the way to the back and then all the way to the front. And just make sure that I don't have any kind of mess on the back. If I have a mess, I will kind of feel it as I go, but I do check at the end of each row. Do you ever rinse out the sizing before you stitch? Some fabrics are very stiff. No, I don't. And I think that is something, each fabric is different. And I actually prefer stiff because I feel like my stitches, because the fabric is stiff, my stitches lie flat. The looser the fabric, the messier my stitches are. How do you start or anchor a piece using one strand? You just start and you stitch over your previous 5 stitches. I've shown that in the Cross Stitch University. this is the floss keeper right here. So this is where basically I put the numbers on the back, and then I have two in here. This is like the bulk, and then this is what I can easily get to and use. At some stage, can you show how you set up your on the go in the car? Yes, I can. I have to have somebody photo that, but yeah, I do it all the time. It was funny because one of the basketball moms, she was like, where do y'all go in between games? And I was like, we go sit in the car. She's like, you do? And I was like, yes. I was like, I gotta get out of here. It's too much noise. Because I guess all the parents stay. I'm like, no, I don't need to talk to anybody. Yeah, but I cannot believe I said that. I was like, yeah, social media, it's ruining the world. I've been stitching for years and cannot stitch in hand and have my work come out even. I need a hoop. How can I try to correct the fabric bunching up issue? So I would do the same thing that I showed last week on the FlossTube, where you use this, or you use the cloth biddies to get the fabric out of the way. Cheryl uses only a hoop. She doesn't stitch in hand, and her work is beautiful. So you don't have to stitch in hand. You should do whatever works best for you. And this is usually why, 100% why I lose my needle. I need to use a needle minder. I'm getting ready to get my fabric. My concern is if I use painter's tape, the borders are already tight. What else could I do? You could zigzag the edges. That would be what I would recommend. And start in the center. Will you be showing how to finish the Christmas time cross stitch? No. How long does it take you to complete 500 stitches? An hour and a half. Do I have any suggestions for cloth for tomato and come into my garden? I'm having a hard time stitching with linen. We'll look and see. And when I pull this to the back, I kind of move it into the middle. I don't know if that's the right. I would just email Cheryl at fatquartershop.com for that one, because I'm not sure we're looking at the right pattern on that, and I don't know off the top of my head. Now, she doesn't work today, so she'll answer tomorrow. My needle minders tend to weigh down my fabric. Oh, yes, agree. Put them on here. So it should go on here. So we'll attach it real quick and show you how it's supposed to be. I should have already done that, but yeah, I don't use needle minders on my fabric, but I'll show you how it works on a design board. And the way that I put my Halo Go in the car is I set it on top of a design board, and that keeps it flat. Okay, right here I think I'm off. Oh gosh, I just pulled that thread. Nicole Spore, but a different Nicole. I'll have to figure out what video, but I have seen people do that. I definitely would mess that up, so I haven't done that. I'll think of her name in a second. And then the roof is 513 stitches. So as long as I get the roof done today, this part of the roof, I guess, this is like the middle part of the roof, then I'll have today's done. And then I might start adding, you'll see how, I'll see how many of the letters I get done. They're kind of quick and easy. So let me know what you guys are stitching for Stitchtober. I know a lot of you are stitching this one. I love the idea of the flea market baskets. Can you please put stitching and the housewife stuff on sale next month? Pretty please. Not next week, not next month, but I can consider that for 2023. I know we have all of their stuff on, I'll consider that for 2023. We've already picked what's on sale the rest of the year. We will have Black Friday though, so you can always try to see what we have then. So how do you guys set your goals? You know, are you a little bit analytical like me, or do you just try to get a little bit done? And it's not fair to compare what I do to what other people do, because I do this as part of my job. I actually will put the little, close the door in my office and then pull the little window thing down for an hour and a half every day. That way at least I get it in, because at night I should have time. But, you know, sometimes I don't. So. My threads get tangled. Is there anything that I can do to help with that? You could use Lori Holt's beeswax, which will help it stay straight. Or when they get tangled like this, well, not like this, I would just put my needle in between the threads, separate them, completely separate them, put them back together, and that should help. When you finish stitching a floss color, how do you decide if you keep the floss you have left on the needle? Oh, that's a really bad question to ask me. I always get rid of it. I just don't really, yeah, I'm bad. I should not answer that question. If I have a full line, I'll put it back. Like here you can see. But if I don't, I usually pitch it. I just don't. I think it's one of those like things that I do for time saving reasons. Now Cheryl does keep hers, so probably maybe 12 inches. I use the Lori Holt planner and write down what I want to accomplish. It's color coded with fabric with flare pins. It's so fun to watch the progress. Oh my gosh, that sounds so fun. Yeah, her planner is in stock and shipping. I've been stitching since the 80s and have always used a hoop. I just recently started again after a 25-year hiatus and never heard of stitching in hand until recently. Yeah, Chelsea from Priscilla and Chelsea, I think it was Chelsea that made me do it, and then Priscilla taught me. Now I will say, if you compare my stitches next to Cheryl's, hers are better, and she uses a hoop. But kind of, I like my stuff to be nice, but I do have to be able to finish it. And with a hoop, I could never get this much done because I can do it in half the time. The thread floss in the spooky box is amazing. I've been using it for my cross stitch stuff. Will you carry it in the store? Yes. We are working on that. It will be a while because that is actually handmade by a lady in America. So we're just waiting on her to fill the order, which will be probably a couple of months. But yes. So I'm just going across. And then I think what I'll do is finish this row. Now, when I get to this, I have a little bit left. I'm going to play thread chicken. And I'm going to try to get to the end of the row. I don't like to leave like half a row done, because then I was going to show you how you could work on a letter. So we'll see if I get to the end. Now it's starting to come unthreaded. I map out my projects on a calendar dedicated to cross stitch, color code each project, and put colored dots on each day to represent goals. That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like I double plan because I like put it in a spreadsheet and then I put it in the planner, and then I have like a list. I'm like a list person. If I write it down, it's going to get done. If somebody tells me something verbally, I'm not going to do it. If I write it down, it'll get done. Okay, so yay, I got to the end. How do you get wrinkles out of your wrinkle cloth? Your cloth never looks wrinkled. At the end, you could iron it. I would wait till the very end. I usually, when I'm done, I fold it up into either a square or just a roll, depending on what fabric it is, and I take these out. Okay, so that's how that looks. And I do, one thing, I keep like a little, it's like a little jar type thing next to my, where I stitch, and just put all my little scraps of thread. And then if I need something, I can pull from there if I didn't save it. I save the short ones and put outside for birds to build a nest. I live in the country. Oh, that's cute. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna do a letter, but I guess I'd need the pattern. Let me get my pattern out. Okay, good. I'm gonna put it right here so y'all, okay. So I'm just gonna count over, I need to count over 4 squares. And the way I do that is I do it out loud. It's so embarrassing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then I'm going to double check my work. 1, 2, 3, 4. I do always do it with my needle because I just don't trust my eyes to do this. Now this is pretty easy. We're going to go, you could either just go down and count. I'll show you 2 different ways you can do this. I'm retired. Planning out how much to do each day is too much work. If I fall asleep in the idle of a stitch, oh well. That's funny. Yeah, everybody should just do it what works for you. So I always stitch top to bottom. That's just, if I'm doing a letter or something, if I can, I'll go top to bottom. Would love if you offered a digital version of your stitchy and quilty journals for those of us that move to digital. We're going to revamp the journals, but I don't know that we'll do a PDF of that. I'm not sure. Okay, so this is what I would do if I was just going to do, you know, like go from the top to the bottom. But now I'm going to show you if you want to create a outline. Okay, so you've noticed as I've been stitching, I've always gone bottom left to top right for the bottom one. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. I need 14 of these. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to keep going that same way. It's going to waste thread though, but it's going to keep them looking the same. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I do count out loud at home too. My kids think I'm crazy. Okay, so there's 14. Hopefully I have that right. And then I need to go do this one. And then I'm going to do this. I'm off. Okay, I'm off. I'm off half a stitch. Is there an easier way to count stitches when a pattern overlaps? I always have to print the pages, then cut. I kind of try to finish one page and then just go to the next. I don't know that there's any tips. I will say the easiest thing to do is exactly what you just said, which is tape it together. But I try to go page by page, and then as long as you do that, it's kind of helpful. Okay, so now here I'm going to go all the way across. There's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this one, I'm going to actually go back and cross. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to cross that one. And then I'm going to make an X here, just because if I didn't make an X, I would come up in the same spot I just went down. And then it's the same count across, so I'm going to go that same direction up to the top. And this is what I would do if I was sitting in the car and about to go back in a football game or basketball game, because I want to just fill in. The problem with this is I just have to remember that I actually cross every cross instead of forgetting to cross them. That's where this gets tricky for me. $11, $12, $13. Okay, now I'm going to go across and just cross the top row. Do you find it harder to stitch over 2? It's a little intimidating to me. Okay, so what I have found this year is I can stitch on 25 count good. Anything else, it's just impossible. 28 count, any of that, I can't do it. I don't like it. And that's not true. I can do it, but I don't like to do it. So I just decided to not do it anymore. Okay, so here, go down 13. So here, because I only have a little bit of thread left, I'm going to go ahead and cross a couple of these just so I don't go all the way down. And let's see, that's about enough thread. So that's kind of the start. And I do think it's fun sometimes just change the direction you're going. The best thing about this and doing monogamous stitches is, you know, if I want to do letters, I can do letters. If I want to go and do borders, I can do borders on a section. I can do, you know, kind of whatever. I will say in football it's easier to cross stitch. Kevin just tells me he's in, because but basketball I can tell, but football I have no clue. I have to ask Kevin, was that good or was that bad? Because I don't have a clue. I thought I understood football until my kids started playing, and I have no idea. No idea what they're doing. Okay, so now I'm going to go down the other side just so you can see. And then you can fill in. And I think as long as you start and stop in that same hole, whether you go horizontal, vertical, it'll come out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, and I think this is the last one, 3, and then I think, yeah, and then I can go across. Now this one I'm just going to go all the way across just so that it's kind of consistent. But when you're stitching, you shouldn't be able to tell a difference if you've gone, okay, there I missed a hole. You shouldn't be able to tell a difference if you're stitching vertically or horizontally, as long as you start and stop in that same hole and keep your stitches consistent. So the way I stitch this letter could be different than the way I stitch the next letter, and that's okay. So this doesn't happen to me when I do Ada, but I do go in that little hole, the wrong hole. I can see the squares on the fabric. Do your eyes have to adjust? No, I'm used to it, but I always use magnifiers no matter what. If I'm using Ada or 25 count, I always use magnifiers. I think it helps because I don't want to strain my eyes. Now I could see it, but I don't want to strain my eyes. So from here, let's see. I'm just going to go across, finish the bottom, and then the rest should be pretty easy because all you have to do is go down here. I could add that. We'll see. I might in a minute. I can see the squares. Oh yeah, I answered that. Okay. That one I just put my thread in the wrong spot. Okay. So hopefully it's making sense. But I do try when I do this, I'm going to do the whole row just so that I don't forget to cross the end of, or the top of one of them. Do I play thread chicken? Oh my gosh, 85% of you do. That's so funny. Yes, I do that way too much. And I've come up with some creative ways to do it when I'm really low. Another thing I've found is if I'm at a sporting event, I will pull my thread under my stitches, but then I won't cut all the threads off until I get to the car. Because Kevin drives everywhere. He thinks I'm a bad driver. I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but he does not let me drive anywhere. So when I get to the car, I just cut them off. And that saves me time having to figure out where my scissors are. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is do the half stitch up the top. Okay. And then when I'm doing this, sometimes if you go sideways, it helps you. Have I ever tried finishing crossing the entire X? Yes, I don't like it. I don't like to do one X at a time. I get so mixed up when I do that. My mind just doesn't work. Now, Priscilla and Chelsea, that's all they do. I think that's actually how Lori stitches too. And that's how Cheryl stitches. I just prefer to go in rows. I feel like I can go faster. Okay, so I have the outline done. So I can either just stitch down, up, down, or I could, that's actually not right. I think it's easier to just go across. Do I prefer Floss Keeper or Floss Biddies? Oh my gosh, I love all of them. I like Floss Keeper, I like Floss Biddies. Floss Flowers is what I use the most though. I like to use different ones I like it to be matchy-matchy. So I would say for a bigger project, Floss Keeper is much easier because it's easier to find the floss. For small projects, I like to use the Floss Flowers if it's DMC, and then the Floss Biddies if it's Fancy Floss. And so once I've done that, you can see that my stitches are consistent, even though I've gone different directions. How's Emma's driving? Oh my word. She's doing good. I don't ever see her. I know it sounds horrible, but she's never home. So I let her drive me to Starbucks on the weekends, but that's about it. She hasn't been home much. Okay, I've got this all mixed up. Yeah, she's doing good, but I think it's hard. My car's pretty big, and so it's hard for her to drive. She drives the nanny everywhere, though, and I think that's hilarious. We'll definitely do more during like the breaks of school, but right now she's pretty much, she gets to school. I don't even take her to school. Her friend takes her. She leaves at 7. 6:45 every morning, which I think is great. Okay, so here, go under, and then I'll just finish the letter. So we're getting towards the end, so if y'all have questions, let me know. Okay, now I'm going to show you, let's see. If you wanted to, let's see. If you wanted to have 2 strands and not do the loop method. There we go, 2 strands. Okay, I'm going to show you. It's going to be harder to show you, but I'm going to show you. Okay. So you have to stitch over your previous stitches, which is going to be much harder to do on this. Sorry, I wasn't imprinting. And so that I need to stitch over. So I'm going to actually just cross this X, come back over, cross this one. But when I do that, I'm going to make sure that this is under, and it is. It just takes a lot more time to start this way. So there. But now I need it to go back the other way to stitch over it. Pull it a little bit. How do I store my floss when I'm not stitching? Okay, so I keep all of my DMC on floss flowers, and when I'm done, I just combine them to my previous jars. You can see my cross stitch organization. I think video 1 or video 2 has it. My fancy floss, I store that in the acrylic boxes, and I have a spreadsheet of what I have of everything, because that's just, I'm super, I guess organized would be the right word. When you use a floss flower and you finish, you take them off. If you take them off, how do you label? Okay, so I just label the DMC on my floss flowers with the DMC stickers. My fancy floss, I just leave it on the, you just leave it where the letter shows, or the little tag shows, I guess. And I guess another tip would be, if you're having a lot of knots, start with a shorter piece. Now this is probably the least efficient way to stitch these letters, because it's taking, I could have done this quicker. But this is just a way to show you if you want to outline. I prefer, I don't know, sometimes I outline, sometimes I don't. I think it just depends what kind of mood. Or, you know, like I'm saying, like if I'm going to go in and I might only get 10 stitches in while he's playing basketball. But that's 10 stitches, you know, I didn't have. And I just don't have a lot of time. And it's funny because Kevin does the clock. And I'm like, oh, you must be good at the clock because they keep asking you to do the clock. If they asked me to do the clock, I'd be screamed at, just like they scream at their kids. Do you take my halo go on the airplane? Yep, I sure do. I take it on the airplane. It folds up, and I just take a bitty board. I take a bigger one, so I take like the 10-inch size, and then that's what I set it on. I take it everywhere. How did I get my red heart so perfect? Anytime I add another color, the stitches always run. Okay, the way I did that was I did all the brown first, then added the red, and then you you know, when you add this light gray, you just got to be careful that you don't put it, you know, you just kind of keep it separate. And then I added the two little back stitches to the heart banner to add that. I was hoping I didn't forget last night. But I hope you enjoy stitching. I mean, I would say just do, you know, stitch however you want to stitch. But this one I stitched all the way down right before the video. And you can't really tell, I mean, you can cut, yeah, you can't really tell the difference. So again, this is the Autumn Love pattern by Lori Holt. And this one uses DMC. And if you can't do it this year, you can always do it for next year. And for the rest of the year, tomorrow we're going to get to finally see our Charity 2023 piece, which is so pretty. You're going to love it. You're going to see our support group, which is, you know, going on. We're going to show some pictures of what you guys are stitching. Lots and lots of stuff. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is show you if you wanted to just stitch these faster. So I'm going to pull this thread. Look how, see, you can see the different ways I stitched. But I'm just showing you different ways so you can figure out what works for you. And I'm no expert. Like now this is easier for me to stitch this way. Upside down. This is how you stitch it fast. So that's pretty fast. And this is a little bit different because I'm going different directions. Okay, see, that does not look good. My stitches are not. Okay, they're not flat enough. I don't like the way that looks. So I'm going to pull it, get my thread straight, and do it again, just so my tension looks better. Have I shown a comparison done with DMC versus Fancy Floss? Yes, we're going to be doing that next month. I'm going to do even some step out things to show you. We're going to talk about that. And just to be honest, I don't stitch the way you're supposed to on that, but I'm going to show you the right way. And then the same thing, you can decide what works best for you if you think one way is better than the other. Doesn't the floss flower put kinks? No, it doesn't. It does not at all. In fact, most of the projects that we kit up at work, we pull that floss from my home container, and you've never seen kinks in my work, so definitely not. It does not put kinks. Okay, here actually what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to finish this floss off and then start a new strand, just to, because I know I'm going to need a strand anyway. Look at it. And that's what you can do, like, also just like they'll even out. And then I need one more floss, so I need to figure out what color I'm even using. I don't even know. I think it's this one. This is how I take it off. So I take it off. It's a big old chunk. I have it a mess. This is called a mess. This is what happens though sometimes. Okay. It's usually not this much of a mess, but I did something to it last night. Who knows what I did. Okay, then I'll put one back on here. I probably just didn't put it on there right the first time. Okay, and now you see I have this out still. This is supposed to be on my design board, but it fell off. Okay, I think I know what happened. We didn't clip all the way in the center. Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna finish it off. And I'm gonna go up this way and then I'm gonna stitch it a different way down, just to show you different ways you can stitch. I'm out of true crime shows. Oh my gosh. Tomorrow on Netflix is gonna be a big one. So I would definitely tune into Netflix tomorrow. Controversial, so I'm not gonna say the name. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. It's like if you say the name, you get in trouble. Something's coming out tomorrow that's gonna be good. The Oxygen Cold Cases has new episodes, and she did the first two-parter, and one I didn't know it was two parts, so I was like, at the end it just turned off and I was like, wait a minute, where's the ending? And then it said, oh, it's two parts, so that's good. There's not much out there though, but I do know tomorrow's is going to be good. I'll be watching it on the way to work. Have to wait till I drop Christopher off, and then I'll play it on my, I just play it on the, like, I don't need to watch it. I just play it on my car thing and I just listen to it. It's funny because one of our sales reps is really into like true crime and like dark history type stuff. His degree is actually in history, and so we're always talking about true crime at dinner, and Kevin's like, what are y'all talking about? And the sales rep is always like, how does he live in the house with you and have no clue what you're talking about? I'm like, that's pretty much how we are. He does not watch anything I watch. And then oh my gosh, he's such a big UT fan. I didn't even realize when I was out of town that UT had lost. And somebody said something, and I was like, they lost? He's like, where have you been? I was like, oh, I was in Wisconsin. I was like, I wasn't watching your UT football. I know I think they're playing OU this weekend. I've always wanted to take our kids, but there's no way we could go Friday because it's homecoming. But I mean, we could drive in the morning. I've always wanted to take the kids to like the state fair. Okay, so let's look at that. So yeah, you can't tell the difference. Have I been following the Alex Murdaugh case? I am not fascinated with that case at all. I think, to me, it's pretty plain. I'm always interested in true crime to figure out why people did it. It's pretty clear why he did it, what he did. He was just an idiot. Narcissist, allegedly. Just not a good person, and I'm not interested in that one. Oh, Lori says my autumn love is looking fabulous. Thank you. The Cross Stitch University videos are still available. And then Lori says, hello, Stitchy friends, from Lori. Yay. Okay, so we'll zoom out a little bit just so you can kind of see where I'm at. And I will put my little things up here so you can see. So the reason things probably not too messy when you see them, and this is a good thing to do, is to alternate between do a letter, do a row. Do a letter, do a row. And then, you know, maybe if you're having a really bad day, it's just kind of soothing to do this. But if you need like a little bit more interaction, you could do the letters. Now my plan is, just to kind of talk about that, is today, tomorrow, I'll have this done. And then I'll probably do, like, I'll probably go this way, this. And then I'm going to do the outline. Then from there, I will probably, I'm not sure if I will do like all of the same ones at the same time, like these at the same time, and then these at the same time. I'm not sure if I'll do that, like each color, or I'll just go in an order. But that'll be like all the way through next week. And then what I'll do after that, I'll probably do this outline. And then from there, I'll either do one square at a time, or I'll do all the outside borders fill in. All the outside borders fill in. It'll just kind of depend, I think, on basically if I am watching, so for example, if I'm watching TV and I need to pay attention, I need to do something like this. But if I'm just listening to something, I could do anything. So it kind of just depends what kind of mood I'm in. And the best thing about this pattern is the only 2 back stitches are right here. There's no fancy stitches. It's all super easy. And that's what I got today. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, because we are going to unveil and get to show you our charity 2023 cross stitch that we raise money for Make-A-Wish. And our goal is also going to be 100,000 next year. So we're going to be bringing it to you now because we got the donation page. So super excited. Make sure you join us tomorrow. And if you have any questions about anything stitchy, just put it in the comment box and I'm happy to answer. See you next time.